innocent and found so, what becomes of the revolution? To try him is to try the revolution. This trial is an absurdity. Let the guillotine do its job now. But if we must carry on with this trial, we must find him guilty and sentence him to death.
Yay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we gather today for a decision that will not only impact the present situation of France, but the direction this country will take from now on. King Louis XVI has dragged France into the abysmal financial and social chasm we now live in. This man is the sole reason we have had to exist in such squalor, hoisting himself up on our aching shoulders so that he may live in the heavens and we are forced to bear the weight of his mistakes. The king has gotten away with his atrocious ruling by ignoring the pleas of the people. Time and time again we have tried to reason with him. He did nothing to assuage our fears or make our quality of life any better in the least. When we took matters into our own hands and drafted the Declaration of the Rights of Man, he not only failed to acknowledge the rights we had demanded in any way, he set up active preventive forces and made a mockery of it by allowing the national cockade to be trampled as he watched. When we thus defeated his guards, only then did he accept the declaration. This marks only one in a long string of offenses against his own people, a tedious pattern that should, by all accounts, end on this day. The Girondins opposed the immediate execution of the king only because, should the king live to see the end of this trial, his preservation would in turn mean that the power would fall to the Girondins. If they manage to get their way, they will have the power to take control of Paris. They asked to delay the trial, but not due to any compassion for the king or reasons we could find sensible. The outcome of this trial, should it fall in their favor, would serve to benefit only the Girondins. And at what cost to the French people? We cannot afford at this point in our revolution to appear indecisive. Indeed, the necessity for conviction is indicated even in the guillotine itself. The guillotine waits for no man, striking only once. We must not wait and ask ourselves if we are truly free, for after all these trials and tribulations, the answer lies in blood. The answer must be a unanimous yes. Freedom is the common uniting cause, our motivation to wake up every miserable morning, knowing one day we will be free of this outrageous aristocracy. On the brink of such glorious horizons, we cannot hesitate. Why put off our freedom for the sake of a fallen king? Are we to fall back into this horrible aristocracy? The price we would pay in delaying the execution would only open up the opportunity for royalists and conservatives to take control once more, the very authorities we fought to be liberated from. What an indignity to have come so far and gained so little. At further risk of the king somehow getting off free in all this, the Girondins suggest that we exile the king, as if that would somehow be punishment enough for the many wrongs he has committed. Exile grants a peaceful departure from the country with comfort and dignity, and yet he has done nothing to deserve the ease of banishment. If the king wanted dignity, he never should have tried to leave the country in secret, for that exposes the most cowardly of intentions. A king abandoning his own country is an abominable insult to the people, and thus we cannot show him mercy. Kinsmen, although we differ in political and economic status, as well as a wealth of other factors, this should not stop us from working for a better country for all of us citizens. At the end of the day, it is our country. The king, whether deported or executed, will have no more say in the future of France. His well-being should mean little to us personally. This makes it all the more imperative that we do what you know to be right, for the good of France. By exiling the king, we allow everything he stood for in all his corruption to continue, if not outright, then slithering amongst the shadows, only to return and haunt our daydreams. We must seize the opportunity to come together in the removal of this king in blood, and complete what we set out to do, showing once and for all that the true power lies with the people of France. The king has crushed the spirit of the French people, but we must crush him now. Such a man can come to no good, and belongs not in the country he has so wronged. For all of you in this room, and for France, we must build a new country from the ashes of the ruins of this one. The king has had his time in the graces of the Lord above, but has shown himself to belong there no longer. Send the king to his maker.